Okay, so this is
I'm about to pour a 12 by 24 foot concrete foundation with zero experience. After watching tons of YouTube videos, I started to feel like it was just laying down some mud. How hard could it be? Then 2 days before the pour, I joined an online call with Essential Craftsman channel. Scott and a few other pros quickly reminded me just how unprepared I was. I didn't even know the right steps, and I was missing some basic tools. I scrambled the next day to get ready as best as I could, and then jump into the pour. Can you really pour concrete just by watching YouTube videos? What could possibly go wrong? Let's find out. I started the project a while back by cutting a pad, compacting the dirt, adding the foam boards, and finally laying down the gravel base and the rebars. Before the pour, I binge watched a ton of videos. I thought I had it all figured out. All I needed to do was to screed the concrete with a bowl float. Simple, right? Turns out no. That call with the Essential Craftsman team was a huge wake-up call. I got up at 5 a.m. next morning to lay rebars and scrambled to revise my plan with all the critical steps I had skipped, gather the right tools. I'll break down the full process and the must-have tools later in the video, but let's first get into the actual pour. It is with excitement and trepidation I was about to plunge into my first clueless concrete pour.
Okay, so this is the D-Day. I've prepared it as much as I can. We're gonna pour it. I was asked to soak the subgrade. And looking at this, I don't know if I put too much water. I hope not. It's muddy.
Pouring will start at 7:30. Forecast says 80s today. 20 miles wind, humidity at 8%. Yes, you heard it right. I didn't miss a zero for the folks from Florida. This is a bone-dry desert. At the least idea, this is among the worst conditions to pour concrete.
Yeah, hour and a half, we start to pour.
The truck arrived at 7:30 promptly. I had 3 friends come help me, but none of us had any experience. Since the truck couldn't get to the job site, I also ordered a pump. The pipe is connected, the pump is running, and we're ready to pour. It's somewhat comical watching me fanatically bark orders at my friends, armed with only YouTube-learned concrete knowledge. I'm just glad I was the only one panicking. I've never been to a battlefield, but I suspect there are some similarities here. Once the pour starts, there are no ifs, no buts, no saying, wait a minute, let me get it ready. Every ounce of preparation, sweat and tears from the last few months come down to this moment. Ready or not, before you know it, it will be over. The mud will soon be an unyielding block of stone. The pump operator started with the footings, buying them extra time to set before the rest locked in. You might find it laughable, given how clueless I was, that I ended up with a virtual supervisor, an 85-year-old retired concrete legend. He couldn't be on site, but offered to FaceTime the pour, tossing me tips like lifelines. I owe him a beer.
Hello? Hello, hi, is this Bill?
Here's a Bill.
It started, let me show you this.
Okay.
Can you see?
Yeah, I can see. You're doing a good job.
They're very busy now.
Okay, are they going to start? Are they cutting the edges? Are they taking a little hammer and hitting the edges?
Little hammer?
Well, yeah, I want them to tap the edges so the edges come out smooth.
Who said something?
See what?
The pump operator is Carlson. Young man is only 130 pounds, not an ounce of fat on him, just lean muscle and grit. He grabs the end of the hose, and that thing is no joke. Between the rubber and the concrete pumping through, he's wrangling close to 100 pounds easy. And it's alive, jumping, surging with pressure. But Carlson, he makes it look easy. No flinching, no fuss, just smooth, precise moves, like he's painting with it. Drops the mud exactly where it needs to go, tight corners, edges, and fills. Kids earned every bit of respect I've got. You can see me running around trying to pick up the rebar chairs. That's one of the lessons I've learned. Buying those cheap plastic rebar chairs was a waste of money. They had tiny feet and couldn't even stand on their own. They just got knocked over during the pour. What I should have focused on was lifting the rebar during the pour, like you would with wire mesh. The concrete mix was mostly 3/4 gravel, so once the rebar is lifted, it will rest on the gravel and won't sink to the bottom. I've also seen people breaking up old concrete blocks and they use the pieces as makeshift rebar chairs. Honestly, that would have worked better than those flimsy plastic ones.
Go back.
Despite having no prior experience, my friends were downright impressive. The step they were doing, called rodding, involved working the rod back and forth to settle the concrete before screeding. They picked it up fast, finding the rhythm quickly. Even Carlson, the pump operator, jumped in to help, above and beyond his job. Watching everyone step up like that, pushing through together, damn grateful for that. Massive thanks to my friends who gave up their weekend to make this happen. As you can see, there's no way I could have pulled this one off alone. Once they've rotted about 6 or 7 feet, I stepped in with the bowl float, which is made from magnesium, and let you level the mud without sinking into it. Just smooth, steady passes like icing a cake. The trick? 2 or 3 gentle sweeps back and forth. I rented the float from the Home Depot for $20, worth every penny of it.
Yes. You want a slide hammer or regular?
Hello?
Hello?
Not super hard.
I can't see nothing.
Kind of vibrate just so that it vibrates down onto the edge of the board.
Okay, good. Sorry.
Yeah, looks good. Everything looks good. Just keep going. I'll keep that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. He said everything looked good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, go over then a second. Here, watch out. I'm gonna spray it real quick. Just watch it.
Carlson kept working through the remaining pour. As you can see, he lifted the rebars as he moved down the line.
So I would just give it 1 or 2 passes just to get cream on top.
Okay,
And just like that, leave it like that, and then after we get done and it started to harden up a little bit, then do a couple more passes, and those few passes will pretty much finalize it.
Okay.
Concrete work is brutal. You can see us naturally rotating rows, rodding, raking, fixing details, just to keep up. It's all hands on deck. You can see here, we actually found out how heavy that pipe was.
Well, I talked to a plant this morning to double check on everything, and they told me everything.
Tell somebody grab that walking hitcher and start hitching around that perimeter.
Okay.
This is the edger, right? This is the edger. Okay.
So, if you want to run it like this on the slab, you'll run like this on the board. And what that does is it'll break out this concrete. Right? It'll create you a little spot so that when you do go in to edge, it's nice.
First on this side, then the other side.
See? Right? You gotta take out this shit first though, you know what I mean? Do it backwards, do it on the board. And then you'll do one pass.
How much mud do we have left?
In the truck, there's probably like a quarter yard. He was getting close.
So I'm doing really well then.
Yeah.
The heel concrete has to set out enough. You should be able to lightly press with your finger and leave a small gap. You should be able to walk on it. Okay? So here's what I'm gonna do. Okay? I'm gonna go get something. Okay? Give me a sec.
My first attempt with a Fresno trawl went as well as expected. I peeled up a big piece of concrete instead of smoothing it. With no one around to bail me out this time, I ditched the big boy and made do with a smaller trawl. Lesson learned. I'd barely started trawling when the concrete began setting up faster than expected. A quick water spray bought us time, but ridges and uneven spots still appeared. With more experience, I might have fixed them. Instead, I only learned a few hours later. They became permanent reminders in my first finished slab. Looking back, I should have laid a 14-foot board across the slab. It would have given me access to the middle to fix those trouble spots. Lessons learned for next time.
Look at the wind, it's crazy, like 15, 20 miles gust wind. Yeah, you can tell the sustained wind probably is at least 12 miles. So this is what happened. So we hosed down the pad and went to lunch just under 2 hours. When we came back, we noticed tiny cracks on the surface. So I believe this is surface cracks. I don't think it's gonna affect the function of the pad. So I will take it, given everything I learned. And this is still a great experience. I considered it a success. And as first timer, I'm sure there are things I can do better. The main thing is after the pour, I should just stay here constantly pouring water on it. And in fact, better yet, I didn't use the vapor barrier. Mostly it's because I need to wet the subgrade when they pour. And if I put the vapor barrier in, I can't wet the subgrade. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover this pad with that plastic sheet.
Here's a quick recap of the project. It's a 12 by 24 slab, 9 inches footings, 6.5 yards of 3,000 psi mud pumped in, $2,400 all in. Must-haves: bow float, Fresno trawl, 14-foot 2x4 screed, and walkboards. Use steps, screed, float, edge, broom. Then keep it wet for a week. Plastic saves cracks. Lessons learned: YouTube helps, but nothing beats hands-on chaos. First pours teach the most. Here's my final thought. While challenging, this DIY project provided invaluable hands-on experience. The $2,400 total cost represents significant savings over contract pricing, even accounting for some imperfections in the finished product. The knowledge gained will serve me well in future concrete work. Stay tuned for the framing and the final shed/garage build. You like my concrete pad? Here, you like the pad? Do you like the pad? Huh? Yeah, I like it.